Welcome back, everybody. This is Sisters-in-Law of Attraction. I'm Sam,
And I'm Christine.
and we're so thrilled you're back with us today. Christine, it's been a minute since we've done this, and I've so missed this. And
I
it's
know.
every day I wake up and it's time to get back on here. I
Yeah.
get so excited. I mean, it's just this is just so fun, and we're so thrilled to share what we have learned along our journey in living that high vibey life and attracting all the good things that are meant for us. And so today, I think we should talk about that thing called resilience. It's something that, really can stand in the way of making some real progress in being able to, you know, take on the tough things in life and being able to, and this has become my new favorite word, and we're going to talk about it in a future episode, but being able to pivot.
Yes.
Being able to, right? And so resilience is kind of that one word that Christine and I we've talked about a lot. And so I think this is a great time to really kind of dive into the resilience. So Christine, I think for you, for your personal journey, I think the resilience is actually like a really big deal,
Huge.
based on what you recently, experienced.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. It is something that has been a huge theme probably over my lifetime, quite honestly, but certainly most in the last few years. I think we have talked before. My husband and I worked for a company that went under overnight, and many, many layers to that. But certainly that is a big, big pivot. And it's a big pivot in a very short period of time.
Yeah. When you lose your job, right, and everything gets pulled out from underneath you, and
Yes.
financial security, and you're raising a family, and all of that. Really, you want me to be resilient? Like,
Resilient right now.
what exactly does that look like? So
Well-
for you, what did it look like?
It looked like, honestly, going into survival mode, blocking out all the noise and figuring out, taking it day by day, figuring out what is the largest fire we need to put out first. What is the thing that we need to handle first, right? First, we need to make sure we have X amount of money so that we know how long we have until
Sure.
we have to sell the house or whatever it is. So you make a plan, and you might have 2 months to make a plan. You might have 2 minutes to make a plan.
Yeah.
And for us, it was, oh my God, visiting the village of freaking out and panic, but trying really hard not to live in it because it doesn't do you any good, right?
Right.
And so obviously my husband, maybe not obviously, I shouldn't say that. My husband was a breadwinner. And so it was most important for him to pivot and get his feelers out there. He has spent decades building a really, really good reputation. So pivoting and going back to people that he has helped out in the past and provided opportunities to, and being able to go to those folks and say, hey, do you know of any openings? Do you know of any opportunities? This is what happened. And for me, my pivot was big because I went from having a hybrid job where I got to be with my kids a lot, also got to work and was making a healthy income.
Yep.
And overnight there was nothing. And it was a time when I wish I had known now what I know now. I'll get it.
Sure.
Because I feel like I would have taken that time to think, okay, what this time is a gift, right?
Yeah.
Time is a gift, time is a resource. And kind of, I wish I'd had the luxury to view it that way in the moment, right?
Right.
But again, survival mode. And so it's a matter of, okay, what is most important to me? it is still being there to be there for my kids after they get out of school. That's all they've known at 14 and 12. I'm not going to change it.
Right.
And so it's like, okay, I'm going to go into substitute teaching. How perfect is that? It's flexibility. Absolutely. It's not stressful. I'm not taking any of the work home. I'm not dealing with any of the parents, and I can make my own hours. I can be there for my kids. And it's realizing that what happened to us was not our fault, but how we move forward is what we have to be responsible for.
Right. And I think in that pivot, right, as I'm thinking more about, what that means, you and your husband sought opportunity, right? Mm-hmm. You got very clear on what you wanted. Instead of playing victim, all this happened to me, boo-hooey stuff, right? You were able to, again, do that pivot. And that's where the resilience is. Resilience is, we do this all the time, right? The big stuff, like losing your job. I was thinking, too, of my darling mother who is, battling breast cancer for the third time. Like, I mean, she should be totally pissed and crying in the corner. But she, we have these conversations, and, she's got good days and bad days where, she doesn't feel good physically or mentally, but she says, this is a choice. Like, I have beaten cancer twice before. I can do it again. I have that strength. And so when we talk about resilience, we talk about strength. And it's not, it's not pretending like you're all good and it's going to be fine, but really, really diving into that mental strength. And we keep on going back to the power of the human mind, right? And that's where you and I started this journey. This is the whole point of Sisters-in-Law of Attraction podcast, is to teach people that your thoughts create reality. Yes, we've heard this, but it's so true. And particularly, in your experience, and then, with my mom, she says, I'm just going to choose to have faith in my doctors. I'm going to choose to have faith that this medicine is doing what it's supposed to do, because what's the alternative, right? You sit in a corner and again do the boo-hooey stuff. That doesn't make you feel good, right? So
not only does it not make you feel good, but it makes you feel worse, and it clouds the mind even more, and creates barriers and blocks to be able to even think straight and even see things clearly. Yeah, it may even contribute more to the physical, challenges. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yep. So, again, talking about resilience, I was thinking about it, in my own mind, like, when was a time where, I failed or I got a no, and it's like, okay, how am I going to pivot? How am I going to, go after this again? And I think people who live big are resilient. Right. Yeah. And then we talk about, you and I have talked about, what does resilience look like in our own kids? Of course, we want our children to be happy, and we feel like our job is to make them happy. But we can't create a perfect bubble for them, because they're never going to be able to navigate the challenges and build that resilience.
Our job is to prepare them, right?
Yeah. Right. So I'm going to out myself a little bit on my parenting style, which obviously is a little different than maybe others. But when my daughter was in high school, she broke up with her, high school boyfriend at the time. And, she was in tears, and I was dropping her off at school, and she was running for student government for something. She had to go give a speech, and she literally is in tears and boo-hooey. And I just looked at her and I said, put your balls on tits up. Like, there's no crying in baseball. Like,
go in and do the damn thing.
Yeah, you got to pivot, right? Yes, I understand you're sad. Totally get it. But also, you've got a job to do now, right? You've got to pivot, and you got to go perform in this other thing. And I think when we talk about resilience, it's okay, that sucks over there, but again, I'm going to pivot, and I'm going to turn, and I'm going to focus my energy and my thoughts on something else. Again, it's not avoidance, because yes, she needed to sit, and she's like, Mom, I'm just sad. I'm like, of course you're sad.
Yes, but now is not the time or the place to be in that moment. I tell my kids all the time, you can visit those places, but we don't live there. Because when you live there, that is when it kind of just snowballs, right?
Yes. Yeah, I love that. You visit it, right? And it's like a touch and go. And again, it's that whole pivot. You recognize it, you visit, but you don't, like you said, you don't live in it, which I absolutely love. And I think when people ask, how do you do this? How do you do this work? It comes down to, because people say, oh, well, Sam, you're just strong mentally. Like, you're just more tough. And I don't know. I mean, maybe that's true, but also it's a practice, right? Christine, you and I've talked about.
Absolutely.
It's a practice because we're clear that we want to live in the lane of joy and gratitude and get high vibey with the universe so that we can accept all the good things in our lives. But it doesn't mean that we sit here live perfect lives for God's sakes.
No, not by a long shot.
So really and truly, resilience is a muscle that you have to build and nurture. It's when, and again, I'm going to go back to those who choose to eat the whole damn pie of life. Your resilience muscle perhaps is stronger because you get lot more no's.
You've heard the no's.
Failures.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, and so if you play it safe, you eat the crumbs of life, you sit on the sideline, your failures aren't big, your no's aren't big. You actually maybe not even get no's.
Right.
Because you're not even
trying,
putting yourself out there and challenging yourself, doing new things. And it reminds me of, looking at our parenting style. And I think that your approach is perhaps a little bit different, but the outcome has been kind of the same. I mean, obviously our kids are completely different, but they're solid.
I think their core is
adult people that are kind and driven and like life.
Yes.
Enjoy life, right?
Enjoy life. They want to be productive members of society and be out in their community.
Yeah. And I was thinking about I think I shared with you this past week, my son Max. He's putting himself out there in a very big way. He's a junior in college in Texas, and the competition is very stiff, and getting these coveted internships with these huge private equity firms, and he's getting there. He's getting to the final, but he's gotten a lot of no's, and so the conversation that I have with him is you're building that resilience muscle, and so that is only strengthening you to continue to pursue, because it's like, okay, so you pursued that, you didn't get it, it's a no, you're going to try again, you're going to pivot, and you're going to apply to the next one. And
right, because it's like you have the kid who hears the no all the time and keeps going, and it's you become unafraid of hearing the no, as opposed to the kid who's had the easy path his whole life, has heard yeses all the way, and that first no is a big slap in the face. Right? I mean,
yeah. No, it's he shared he got to the final round with the president and CEO. He was on the 30-minute call, and the prep was he was supposed to walk through this case study that he'd spent 4 hours on 2 days prior. So he was all prepped and ready to go, and he's like, oh my God, Mom, he didn't even ask me about the case study. He asked me about a case study I did a year ago. And I said, well, that was a pivot, right?
Yeah.
You had to pivot in the moment,
yeah,
and go, okay, those hours that I just spent prepping for this 30-minute call has nothing to do with what we're talking about right now. Anyhow, so resilience is really, I love to think of it again in terms of that, that ultimate pivot.
Yeah.
But as we're talking more about what exactly does resilience look like in your life, and how can it serve you in this work of strengthening your mind, strengthening your thoughts, avoiding the narrative in your head that you're a loser, you're never going to win. Why did you even try? See this, right? Again, we talked about this before. I'm just not even going to get in the game because, like you said, the other shoe's going to drop, and I'm just not going to
play it safe.
Yeah. So I think that when we talk about getting in the lane of joy, gratitude, and being high vibey with the universe, that all sounds good, but like, what exactly does that look like? Because everyday life throws challenges and obstacles in our way. And so, I always say to my kids, how you respond in this moment matters.
Yep.
How you, right? And I've said
how
this
you do
before.
one thing is how you do everything.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And so I think that, when we're going down this path of, trying to live in the lane of joy, gratitude, and high vibiness, life happens and bad things happen and challenges happen all the time. And again, it's really and truly how you pivot. But resilience is based on faith. Faith in yourself, faith that it will all work out, because it always does.
It always has, and it always will. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's, you're absolutely right. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, you're absolutely right. It's a practice, and it is when you're manifesting or putting your faith in the universe, and it's having patience and seeing that if the thing that you're working for or hoping for, manifesting, whatever you want to call it, isn't coming, you're not going to give up. You stick with it. You keep going. And my husband loves the do something that you're scared of, or that, promotes fear inside of you. Do one thing that scares you every day. And that's all part of building that resilience.
Exactly.
Because then you become unafraid to fail, so you'll try anything, right?
Exactly. Yeah. No, and it reminds me of, when I was writing the book, Rebound with Carl Johnson, I had never written a book before. And so I went to this thing called Pitch Slam in Santa Monica, down in Southern California. And essentially it was, American Idol for writers. You got in line and you had your 30-second pitch, and you in front of these literary agents, and you went in, and it was such an invigorating experience.
Yeah.
Because you're literally putting yourself out there and literally being told no in that moment in your face. But I got to tell you, I got a lot of no's that day. Matter of fact, I got all no's. I got a maybe. Send me an email with da 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 da. And, I might look at your manuscript. But it was so invigorating, and I felt like, oh my God, I just put myself out there in a very real, public way. And literally the response is, nope, homeless stories don't sell, not interested. Bye. Oh, okay. Have a great day.
Bye,
and I think I did 5 pitches that day. And the energy in the room was just crazy, because we're all just like, we're all writers, and we're all
excited.
Can someone please say yes to us, and I remember in the moment feeling really just proud of myself, and talk about that resilience. It's like, oh my God, yes. I'm like, yeah, tell me no.
Yeah, like, because you got yourself there. You put yourself in the room to hear a no.
Exactly. And I do remember after, telling Carl, and quick background, Carl, former homeless man. I met him, and I helped him write his story called Rebound. Anyhow, I remember coming back, and I said, Carl, I tried, I didn't get any traction. And I felt the loss. I felt the failure. And I said, maybe you just asked the wrong person to help you write this. And he says, no way. He said, Sam, you're a good writer, and you're my friend. And I was like, okay, in that moment, talk about resilience. It's not about landing the big, publishing deal. It's
Right.
not about, getting the movie rights to his story. It's not about all that. It was, he asked me for help. I helped him. And we forged an unlikely, friendship over
Right.
it. And anyhow, long story short,
I'd call that
we
a success.
self-published, and we did it, and we had our own little successes. But I got to tell you, there
Yes.
is nothing better in building that resilience muscle than getting rejection.
Yeah.
And so you got to put yourself out there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm proud of you.
I know. Well, so here we could just talk all day about this resilience. I know you got 50 million other examples, and I do too. But for our listeners out there, put yourself in the position of the no, of the failure. Face it, because building that resilience muscle is what's going to give you the big payoff. And I think I'm going to go back to the cave.
Please.
Quote.
I love it.
Right? I'm not
Always.
gonna should I put you on the spot? So it's Joseph Campbell's quote, but the cave you fear holds the treasure.
Holds the treasure you seek. And
There
the
you go.
Yeah, the cave you fear holds the treasure you seek.
Yeah.
Thought the whole thing with the key and the.
Well, yeah. There's a little more to it. A little more to it, but
I thought I would. Okay.
sorry, I totally put you on the spot
You're
there.
good. Totally good.
But again, resilience is part of this process. It's not all fun and games. When people say, well, how do you do it? You don't just naturally live in the lane of joy and gratitude. You
No.
don't naturally wake up every day all high vibey, waiting for everything to be handed to you in a silver platter.
It's work.
It takes time. Yeah, it takes time, work, and
Patience and faith.
and discipline. So anyhow, our time is up, and it goes so quick. So thank you everyone for joining us for
Thank
the Sisters
you.
in Law of Attraction. I'm Sam,
And I'm Christine.
and we'll see you next time.